I don't know when it's going to go live. It's probably live right now. What I've learned from doing these live things is you never really know when it's going to go live. We're going to do a Q&A session right now. And so when you come on, I want you to tell me where you're coming from, what kind of bike you ride, and then we're going to take all your questions. It has been a few weeks since I did a live Q&A, and I just want to do another one because they're fun to do. It's fun to talk to you guys and to kind of interact. I was doing a bunch of emails today. For some dumb reason, I found out that a lot of my emails were going into my junk folder, which was really upsetting because I don't want, like, it's Kyle@dirtbikechannel.com. That's where, but it's managed like through Gmail, and I can't figure out how to turn the junk filtering off. So if you know how to turn that off, send me an email, Kyle@dirtbikechannel.com. Also, don't put it in the comments here because it's too much to read. We want to have the comments today for questions and answers. You have the questions and I might have some of the answers. I don't even know. But I've also got my energy drink here because I was up at 4 a.m. this morning, guys. 4 a.m. I tried to go back to sleep. It didn't really happen that much. So I've been up for a while. But I think I have, anyway, that's what the energy drink is for inside of here. And it's in here because I just went to the grocery store and they didn't have the energy drink I wanted in the refrigerated section. So I just had to take it out of the general section. And then there's ice in that Yeti tumbler thing right there. So we've got Tour Vanjan, says CC. I don't know what that means. Dreadful Slay says, hey, I'm ready for my new dirt bike. Totally gonna win. Hey, Dreadful Slays, you bring up a good point. If you guys haven't entered to win the bikes I'm giving away, you've got a couple of days left. I'm giving away essentially 2 brand new motorcycles because I've ridden them essentially not at all because of personal reasons and some stuff that's been going on with the weather and everything else here. I've given away a 2024 KTM 250XC, 250XC, and a Beta 250RR. So the KTM is fuel injected. The Beta has a SC2 smart carb on it. It's pretty amazing. So go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com. That gets you entered. You can either buy something off my website, like a hat. I've got a few things up there. We've had a harder time getting product, but we've got t-shirts, we've got hats, hats like this one. I've got the white hats. The black hats did not come. The black hats will be shipping as the sweepstakes ends. But also, you can click on that link that says Shop Rocky Mountain ATV, and you can buy anything they sell, and it gives you entries into the giveaway. Anthony Strickland says, hey, from Indiana. Rusty says, howdy from Texas. The King of Khakis says, any chance you get a hold of a Fantic for a review or a giveaway? I doubt I will because it's just kind of such a fringe bike. And honestly, this may be the last sweepstakes I ever do because this sweepstakes, it's a good thing you ask. This sweepstakes has performed at less than half of what the others normally do. I don't know if that's because I didn't have tie downs. I don't know if that's because I don't know exactly what that is. But every sweepstakes has to pay for the next one. And this one does not look like it's going to pay for anything. And so, yeah, I may not be. If I do another one, I'll have to completely change it. I may give away one more bike. I don't know. But it'll look completely different. And I can't give away a Fantic because what I found out is if I don't do a mainstream bike, I really struggle. And honestly, that might be part of the reason why this one's struggling is people aren't interested in the Beta. I'll have people email me and they'll say, hey, I didn't enter this one because of XYZ. And so I've gotten to the point where I basically have to have a KTM in there, a KTM 2-stroke. Otherwise, they don't do that well. But a Fantic, like that TM, I did a TM last year. It didn't fare well, guys. Like everyone was like begging for a TM, and it's more mainstream than Fantic, and it didn't do so well. So anyway, let's see. Did the dirt bike need a key? That's from Harker. I don't know, H6AKR. Did the dirt bike need a key? I've never had a dirt bike that needed a key. Dewey Mountain Bike and Moto says g'day from Melbourne, Australia. It's 6:41 a.m. here is what he says. Hey, did you end up going to the F1 race that was there last weekend? I watched that on TV. Ed T says, "What's up, Kyle? Checking in from the Great Pacific Northwest, leaving a single track." Thanks, Ed. I appreciate that. Enduro X says, "Since you're testing a Stark Varb, maybe you could try a Beta Explorer." I think you mean the Beta X Trainer. Is there a Beta Explorer or the X Trainer? I'm not a huge fan of the Beta X Trainer. Let's see. Pool 0704 says, "Straps back in stock." No, they're not. I ordered straps at the beginning of the year, and typically I was able to get straps within, a month or so, but I'm waiting 3 months for those straps. Like you're talking about tie downs. I have toe straps. I ordered toe straps at the beginning of the year. They just barely got in stock. Those are the toe straps that you can use to like tow a bike or something, and they come in a little pouch. I've got those in stock, but the actual tie downs, they did not come. That freaking sucks. So, and I won't have them for this giveaway. Like there have been times I knew I was gonna get stuff, and so I'd kind of let you guys order it into like the negative or back order things, but I have no idea when the tie downs are going to show or if they will. And I got to decide at the end of this, after the month is over, if I'm going to cancel the orders that I had for those, because I don't know that I'd be able to sell them, because I don't know that I'll do this ever again. I might, but I don't know that I will. And so I'm not keen to pay a lot of money in straps because I have to buy them in big quantities. Let's see. Detroit Pyro says, "Hello, sir. I adjusted a chain for 2 hours one day on a CRF 125 FB. I could not get the chain to adjust an inch and a quarter exactly. When I tighten the bolt, it goes back to an inch. So frustrating. It sounds like something's stripped out." So I have a CRF 125F, and I feel like it's got like a bolt that you are threading in or out or something, and that might be stripped, which would really suck. I don't know what to tell you on that, but definitely something is messed up. Rhino Game says, "If you buy swag and send in postcards and another person in your family does who is over 18 and you have the same mailing address, does that disqualify either of you?" No, as long anyone is eligible if they're a USA resident. And so I've seen husbands and wives enter, and that's totally legal. If you just got to be careful, because if you send too many postcards, you'll disqualify yourself. So we had this problem where we were getting a lot of anyway, we had a problem with the postcards, and this was about a year ago. And we made some steps to make it so that it's just more fair. And it is 100% fair in the rules, because it has to be legal and bonded and all those things. So it's fair. Just make sure you don't send in too many postcards, because you can disqualify yourself by sending too many postcards. So you max out your entries. There's 1,000 entries maximum. Right now, during the last week of the giveaway, we're 10xing all orders. So if you buy a t-shirt and it's a $35 t-shirt, we're 10xing that. So it's 350 entries. Anyway, you can kind of figure that stuff out. And if you buy stuff from the Rocky Mountain ATV link, same thing there. It's $25 for every order. And during this week, or the last few days here, we're 10xing those. So it'd be 250 entries just because you bought something for Rocky Mountain ATV. It doesn't cost you a thing. So it's pretty awesome. Okay. Here we go. Sibtane, is that how you pronounce it? Sibtane SR says, "Is KTM SXF 2023 good for intermediate riders?" Well, Sibtane, that depends on where you're riding it. So you're talking about a motocross bike. A 250 SXF is a 4-stroke motocross bike, and they're fantastic bikes. If you're going to be riding that on a motocross track, then it's going to be a fantastic bike. If you're going to ride it off-road, it's going to be really, really stiff, and it's going to stall quite easily. It has a 5-speed gearbox, which isn't great for off-road. It'll have an 18-inch rear wheel, a 19-inch rear wheel, which isn't super great for off-road, and it won't have a kickstand, at least stock. So if you're going to ride it off-road, then it's not the best thing. But if you're going to ride it on the track, intermediate track rider, absolutely. Freaking amazing bike. Rage 0462 says, "Everyone wants a 300. So maybe that's what you're saying, is the sweepstakes is down because everyone wants a 300. I know a lot of people do like 300s. I like the 250s just as good, and in some cases better. But that doesn't necessarily explain why the sweepstakes is less than half of the other ones, because I've done a lot of 250s in the past too that also performed unbelievably well. John's Motorcycle says, "Hey Kyle, I'm headed to the dealer today to buy a 24 KTM 300XC or an XCW. I also have a 350 XCF I'm keeping, selling a KTM 250 SX to get the new smoker. What would you pick?" Okay, okay, here's what I would pick. I would pick the XCW, the 300 XCW, and here's why. You said that you have a 350 XCF. That's a go fast bike. So a 350 XCF is a go fast desert bike that it could also be really good on the track. And the 300XC, the 300XC overlaps so much of what the 350 XCF is already good at, that I would want two bikes that are a little bit further apart. And so I would definitely, in your case, where you're keeping the 350 XCF, if it were my money, I'd get the 300 XCW. That's a pretty easy pick for me in that case. EnduroX says, "I'll bet the sweepstakes is light due to the economy. Is the economy worse than it was before? I mean, I feel like the economy's been in worse spots than it is right now. And I don't know. I don't know." Rusty says, "How about a Yamaha YZ250X? I've done that before, but like I think I have data that says I have to have KTMs in these sweepstakes, otherwise they don't do as well. And so I could pair a YZ250X with like a KTM 300 XCW if I thought I could do it again. But the problem is I might lose my shirt. Like it's one thing. Like I'm gonna most likely lose money on this giveaway, but I can't afford to lose money on two in a row. So it's a big risk. Very big risk. I don't know. Don T, it's Don Space T, says, "I've spent a small fortune using your Rocky Mountain ATV link." Thank you so much, Don. A lot of you guys have done that. I've noticed the link, the usage for the Rocky Mountain ATV link has been strong. And gosh, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that. I will lean on those links really heavily. If I stop doing the giveaways, that is one revenue stream that will go away for the business. And then I will be really pushing those Rocky Mountain ATV links, trying to do as many product reviews and things that I can from those guys, and little things that you guys might want to buy for your bikes and things, and really pushing those links hard because they're so good. Like Rocky Mountain ATV is so good. They've been such a great partner. And I love that. I love that way for you guys to support because it doesn't cost you anything. And so if I stop doing the sweepstakes, I will be leaning even more heavily on those links in order to keep doing videos and reviews. And I'll definitely slow down the bike buying. I will have one bike a year, maybe two if I could swing it. And yeah, if I'm going to ride bikes, if I'm just going to be able to ride one bike all year long, it's going to be probably a KTM 2-stroke. I mean, it's going to be a 2-stroke if that's the only bike. I would ideally maybe I'd have a 4-stroke that I could take the track, and then a 2-stroke that I ride in the mountains and the trails. Let's see. Taylor Lake says, "After your YZ250X video, I wondered if it'll fire. Oh, if it'll fire up enough, big enough for you to get another one." The answer is no, Taylor. That was a ride review, and like all the things I said in there are good. And I said a lot of things like, I'm really glad we still have it. And all of the things I said are true. Here's the other thing though. I didn't rail on it. And part of it's just, I don't want to say too much, but like, it isn't my bike. And like they flew us out there to do that thing. The way that I would get interested in buying a YZ250X is if those guys would put electric start on it. If they'd put electric start on it, or put a 6-speed transmission on it, I'd be very interested. Or even just put it in the new frame. Those three things, like electric start, put the YZ motor in the new updated frames, and put a 6-speed gearbox on it, that thing would be unbelievable. But they haven't done anything really with the bike for so many years. It's a fun bike, and I'm super glad that we still have it in the industry. And at least they didn't give it. At least they still doing it. But if they don't start making some changes, some improvements to that bike, it's just a ticking clock of when they will not sell it and not even make it anymore. So I don't like kickstarting a big bore bike. I understand it's not that hard to start, but is this going to be the primary bike that I'm going to take up in the mountains when it's like when I'm huffing and puffing, I'm like I've stalled the bike on the side of a cliff or side of a hill and I want to kickstart the bike. After you've had electric start in those situations, you just don't want to go back, man. And I just want an electric start bike. And so I'll take the Beta or the Sherco or the TM or the KTM or the Husqvarna or the Gas. You see this, like everything, like the Yamaha YZ250X is the only one that doesn't have it. And I want it. Electric start is a big deal. And if I like, obviously it would be cool if you had both electric start and the kickstart, but they've basically dropped that off of every bike, the backup kickstart. And if you ask me, what do I want? Do I want a bike that only has kickstart or a bike that only has electric start? I'll take the only electric start bike every time. Trail moto. Have you tried snow biking here in Utah? What are your thoughts? Yeah, I've tried it a few times and I just can't get into it. The older I get, the less I like winter sports. And it isn't that fun to me. Some people love it, but I'd prefer to just go snowmobiling. Like a mountain sled, I think is, in my opinion, more fun than the snow bikes. It doesn't light my fire. I'd rather be on the dirt than on the snow. So yeah. And people are, oh, you're just not going right with the right people, or oh, you don't have the right machine. People say that, and I do it with them, and I just don't love it. Curtis Pruitt, what are your thoughts on the TC125? So it's a track bike. If you're riding tracks, the TC125 is awesome. If you're riding trails, you can do some things to the bike to make it a little bit more trail worthy. I don't want to ride a TC125 on trails. I'd rather have a 200 or the 150 or any of the more trail oriented bikes I'd rather have. If I'm riding on a track, me personally, since I'm not a good rider, I'm not fast, I'm not looking to be fast, I personally don't want to ride a 125 two-stroke as a almost 43-year-old man on a track. I'd rather have a 254 stroke or something with a little bit more power. I don't want or need a 450 on the track, but I also don't really want to ride the 125. My son is 15, almost 16, and he's riding a 125 two-stroke on the track, and he really loves it. But he's got a 125 XC. A TC 125 would be awesome too for that if you're going to do track and you're a younger guy that wants to push it super hard. P&W Excursion says, coming off a CRF 250X, those were great bikes. They don't make them anymore, unfortunately, I don't think. Looking at a 302 smoke under 5K, good luck. I'm saying good luck. And then he says, I ride mountain single track in North Idaho. Do you recommend a KTM XC or XCW from the 2011 to 2017 era? They had the suspension and gearing were the big differences back in that era from 2011 to 2017. The motors were pretty much the same between the XCs and the XCWs. I don't know that they were any different. Like some people said the XC is mapped a little hotter back in then. I had a lot of those bikes back in that day, and I couldn't tell if the motors were mapped any differently. In those years, I liked the XCs better than the XCWs because I didn't love the gearing. Like the first and second gear on those older XCWs was drastically different than the gearbox on the XCs. And like that 2017 250 and 300 XC, I didn't know if there was anything better. And so I would like, if you get a 2017, it will be counterbalanced. So that would be amazing. I don't know if you can get that for under 5K. I haven't looked at those in a long time, but 2017 is when those bikes went to be counterbalanced. And so that would be the premium year there. And that wouldn't matter if you went XC or XCW, they were counterbalanced in those years. Or that motor was counterbalanced that year, and it was a monumental leap forward. They did use the air fork on the XC, which some people didn't like, or was it still a 4CS fork? Anyway, you'd have to be revalving suspension anyway if it was that old, because you're going to be needing to do oil and fluids and seals and stuff like that. I don't know if you're going to be able to find one for 5K or under, but the 2017 would be counterbalanced, and that would be the one that I would be looking for if you could get it. Is a Sur-Ron or I have a Sur-Ron? Is it good? I mean, it's good for what it is. It isn't like they're fun to play around on, but is it a real full-on, full-size, fully capable dirt bike to do all the things that dirt bikes do? No. It isn't. Um, let's see. Enduro X says beta males and all electric Explorer. Are you saying makes? They make an all electric Explorer? I haven't seen that one. That's cool if they do. Sean H says, hey, what's up from Idaho? Looking forward to a great year. Didn't win the hard enduro, so I had to go buy a new TE300. Well, I hope that you love your new TE300. I'm sorry you didn't win that hard enduro from that was one of the bikes we were giving away. By the way, if you don't have your entries for the sweepstakes, it's a good time to do it. You've got until March 31st, and at midnight, we're doing 10x on all orders, so 10 timesing your orders on my website, dirtbikechannel.com, and on the orders that you click, that you buy from Rocky Mountain ATV through my affiliate link. So it's a good time to do it. They don't give you any confirmation. Like if you click on my link for Rocky Mountain ATV, it just takes you over there and you buy anything they sell. You just log in as normal and you buy it. It puts a tracking cookie in your browser, and that sale is attributed to me, but it never tells you anything about it. And so everyone is always like, hey, did I get my entries? And the answer is yes, you're getting your entries. There's just no like visible representation that you're getting them. And we say that in the official rules. Let's see. Daniel Croney says Beta Explorer is like the bigger Suron. Seems like there's a bunch of those. I think, is it Suron? They're making like a bigger full-on dirt bike too, like a Storm Bee or a Killer Bee. I don't know. Sonny Knowles, this is the good question. Are the 2025 XCs and XCWs going to be getting the frame change? And do you think if it's worth the wait? I was having this conversation with a gentleman on the phone today. I don't have any information that says, here's what I think will happen. Based on what has happened in the past, the changes that happen on the motocross bike. So right now, like Aaron Plessinger and Chase Sexton are on the KTM racing team racing Supercross, and they are basically on a 24.5. It's basically the factory edition bikes, and they do have updated frames on those because the frame was very stiff, which means the 25 250 SX and 450 SXFs will be getting this new frame. And that also means, in typical fashion, the KTM XC bikes and XCF bikes will also get that updated frame. That's typically what has happened. But most of the time, those changes don't come down to the XCW until the following year. So if I was a betting man, I would say the 25 XCW does not get a frame change. It'll just be the 25 XC bikes that get the frame change. So I think you'll be waiting to 25 for an XCW frame change. That's what I think. I hope they buck that trend, because it's my least favorite thing about it. I was having this conversation today. There was a guy that was asking me, he's like, look, should I get a TPI bike, an older TPI bike, or should I get the newer, like a 2024 TBI? This is the throttle body fuel injection. And I'm like, look, the TBI motor definitely has some advantages over the TPI, but these new 24 KTM XCW bikes, I don't like the frames as much as I did on the older ones. So if I'm only gonna have one bike and I'm gonna keep it for a couple of years, I might look for a used TPI bike that's got very, very low hours and save $3,000 or $4,000 if I could find it, and have the different frame. The tricky part with that discussion too, though, is that the XCW in 2024 has amazing front forks. Probably the best front forks that I've seen on any stock dirt bike for doing what we like to do, off-road enduro type stuff. It's got the best fork that they've ever made. So but I don't love the frame. So I'm like, dang, it just sucks. I wish. So going back to the question, I do think the 25 XC bikes will get the new frame. I'm not going to bet that the XCWs will. I think it'll be the 26 XCWs, unfortunately. Charlie Hare says, I have a 2024 KTM 150 XCW. Any hand guards you recommend? It depends on, so hand guards, it's going to come with the flag style hand guards, which are pretty good. I usually don't have any problems with those. It depends on if you want a full wrap handguard. There's a few full wrap handguards out there that are good. I like the Sycra Pro Bend CRM full wrap handguards. I don't know that you can beat them. There's some other ones that are really, really good, but the Cycler Pro Bend CRM handguards are fantastic. Sean H says, I got my 1,000 entries in. Fingers crossed. Thanks so much, Sean H. Tim 3500 Cummins says, what do you think of the 24 RMZ 450? I don't know much about it, bud. Sorry, bud. That's maybe sounds condescending. I don't know much about it, but I'm not into the 450s, as you guys know. And I believe that Suzuki hasn't really done much to their motorcycles for a long, long time. The joke out there is that Kickstart Kenny, like Ken Roxon, is still out there on a Kickstart bike. It's the only bike that still Kickstart. They're way, way, way behind the times. Way behind the times. So if you can get it for super cheap and you want to go ride tracks and you want a 450, I mean, but I'm not a fan of like a bike that hasn't been updated for 100 years. I'm not a fan of a 450. I'm just really not. Let's see. Kyle Langworthy says, hey, Kyle, it's Kyle. Just for instance, if I was going to win, which bike would be better if I wanted to take it to the track on a weekend instead of the trails? Entered to win as I have most of them. That one is an easy one, brother. It's the 250XC. The 250XC is because right now I've got the 250XC and the Beta 250RR. The 250XC is going to be a way better track bike. Way better. The suspension, I think, is perfect for the track for a vet-ish person like me who's not going to push it that hard anyway. The suspension on the 250RR, the Beta, it's probably going to be a little soft, but I know those freaking forks on the XC bikes and the XCW bikes, it's a closed cartridge fork now that's a spring fork. They're freaking amazing. The XC is a little bit stiff for my liking for the trails, but I think it would be really great on the track. And I have had those 250s on the track, the 252 strokes, and it would be a fantastic bike. Really great for the track and then fun for the trails too. So that would be the one. If I was I wanted a weekend bike for track and trails and it was out of the two, easy, I'd take the 250XC for that one. I think that if you are more of a trail guy at this point and wanted to do more of the harder and soft enduro type stuff, in this case, in this sweepstakes, the Beta is the better fit because it isn't so freaking snappy. Like the problem with the KTM 250XC right now, this 2024, is it's mapped so freaking hot that it just like wants to light that rear wheel up so fast. And so anyway, that's my answer for that. John's Motorcycle says, thanks, Kyle. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you. Curtis Lowry says, how long does two-stroke oil last on the 24 XCW? At least 4 or 5 tanks of gas. It lasts so long that it's not an issue. It mixes its own oil, and it's at least 5 tanks of gas from what I've seen. 4 to 5. 5 to 6, or 4 to 6, somewhere in there. It's never an issue. Just top it off every so often. EnduroX says, Charlie Harris says, I've had great success with the Cherubies Extreme. I think you're talking about handguards, probably. Tim35 Cummins says, is the 24 RMZ good engines? Well, they're good, but they're old technology. Rusty, how about a new leftover model that's been discounted? I've seen the Austrian bikes $3,000 under MSRP. It might help keep the sweepstakes going. That won't. Okay. So I thought you were going to ask about, is that a good buy? Yeah, that's how I used to always buy. The bikes aren't the problem, bud. Sorry, I keep doing that. I don't mean to do that. If we were friends and I knew who you were, it wouldn't be condescending. I'm not trying to do that. I don't know why it's come out. Rusty, the problem is the product. The problem is the swag and the shirts and the hats and then shipping all that stuff. You wouldn't believe how much it costs. Like it's just too hard to do it anymore. The bikes are part of the cost, but they're not the biggest part. The biggest part is just like the stuff required. Like, because I can't just have it be like, hey, buy an entry in here, pay $5 and get a raffle ticket. That's illegal in most states. So I have to sell you something. I have to give you a product with it that's going to be that would be offered anyway, even if it wasn't for the sweepstakes. Otherwise, it would be gambling. And the product costs and the warehouse costs and just all of that all together, $3,000 isn't the issue. I'm not going to tell you what the numbers are, but I'm just going to say that I have to sell a lot of stuff. in order to make that back up, to make up the cost for all of the things. And it's just, and then the other problem too is when I sell a quote last year's model, no, then people aren't as excited about it either. So it has to be bikes that people are very excited about. But here's the different spin on that question. Is that a good idea to go buy a leftover model for, like, if you see them for under MSRP? Yeah, that's the best way to buy a brand new dirt bike, is to call around and find somebody that has. So if you call around, and that they'll start, those new bikes will start hitting the dealers showroom floors anytime from June to August, or to clear up to October, just depending. And if you find one of those dealers that still has some leftover bike, and sometimes they're very hard to find, but if you're willing to drive a little bit and do some legwork, that's how I used to buy the bikes all the time, was buy leftover models, and you can save a bunch of money. And so that's a really good way to get a new bike. Tom Gray, do you think a brand like Stark Varg will ever come to South Africa? I feel like it would be great success over here. I don't know much about South Africa. I think Stark, everyone's really excited about Stark, and I've got one out here. I've just ridden it the one time. I was talking to one of my buddies, Tyler, and he brought up a good point. He's like, look, if there is no racing class for a Stark, essentially the company's dead in the water, because our whole industry is driven by, like, being able to race these motorcycles. Because in some cases, you can't even ride the freaking things if you don't race. Like, in a lot of areas of the country, you have to get involved with these groups and these, these groups that race these, because you don't have a place to ride them. So if you're not racing them, I use that term in air quotes because you might not be super competitive. You might just be riding around, trail riding, but it's still called racing at one of these events. If you can't race this bike, then it's basically dead in the water, because it doesn't have enough range for, like, most trail riders. And if they won't let it race against 250s, or they won't let it race against 450s, or maybe it needs its own, maybe electric bikes would need their own class. If it doesn't have that, it's basically dead in the water. If they can't get it legal to race against either gas bikes in some form, or have its own individual class, it will never make it, even in the United States. So it remains to be seen if they can do that. It's the heaviest bike I've ever had on my scales. I think it was 265 pounds. Have I updated that on the website? Geez, if I haven't done that, let me just go look, because I weighed it. It's in my phone. Let me see if I have that on the freaking website. Please tell me that you did this, Kyle. Oh my gosh, I need to put it on the website. Dang it. The Stark Varg, I will show you guys, is the heaviest dirt bike I've ever weighed. It came in at 265 pounds on my scale. I need to make a note to freaking put this on the website. Where's one that doesn't have glare? That's the shoot. Look at that. That's the Stark Varg. It says 265.5 pounds. That's the heaviest bike I've ever weighed. I had another bike on there that was 260. It was a Sherco. So it's heavy, and the weight feels like it's high up in the bike. And it's heavy, it's expensive, and I rode, how many miles did I go that day? I got to look. I think I rode about 27 miles, and it took 80% of the battery. That's not good, guys. It needs to have more range than that. And a lot of that was fast open stuff. I don't know how it will do when it's slower. And anyway, battery is an issue for certain. Have you ever ridden a Yamaha WR250F? What do you think of them? Yeah, the old ones were more trail bikes. The new WR250Fs are the same as the FXs, only they have headlights and a little bit more restrictive exhaust. So a lot of times what happens is people just take the restrictive exhaust off the WR, and now they got a 250 FX that has a headlight and a tail light. There's not a lot of difference between them anymore, other than headlights, taillights, and restrictive mufflers. But they're good. They're good bikes. Dakota Mon says, I just got my first two-stroke. I have rejetted the car because it was too lean. I've richened it up now, but I have a funny throttle feel when it's holding constant throttle. Not sure if it's a two-stroke thing. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's probably just a two-stroke thing. Two strokes don't like to be held at constant throttle. They don't feel like four strokes. Like a four-stroke can be smooth at constant throttle. Two strokes will always have like a little bit of a roughness to them. It's just kind of a two-stroke thing. So it's totally possible that you have this thing. Holy cow, my computer's telling me I have some event right now. I just got to make sure. Oh, it's just nothing. Had something in my calendar that wasn't supposed to be there. To have somebody ride the bike that knows a lot about two strokes and have them tell you if they think it's running good. Because it's totally possible. And thanks for letting me know that it's your first two stroke. It's totally possible that it's running totally fine. You just have to know what it feels like when they are. Excuse me. But good job. I'm glad that you're doing it, and I'm glad that you're tuning it. And the fact that you're rejetting and tuning your carburetor, that's a good sign, Dakota, because that's what you need to do. You need to be not scared to do your own tuning. That's part of this thing, and it helps you to get more confident and know what's going on. And I love that. I love the fact that I don't know how old you are. I'm assuming you're a teenager or under 25. But even if you're not, like either way, the fact that you have this bike and then you've been trying to tune the carburetor, kudos to you. That's a really fantastic thing. And I love seeing that. Wade B says, if you install an FMF silencer, do you need to use exhaust sealant on the slip-on connection? No, I don't. I don't ever do that. Like then it'll just make it hard to get it to come off. I don't know which one you're talking about, but on the two strokes, I'm taking those things on and off all the time. So I don't want to put the sealant on there because I'm taking them off all the time. Anytime I do suspension work, I got to take that off. Anytime there's a million things. Anytime I'm just like, bringing the swing arm up or bringing the subframe up or whatever like that, like I'm taking off that silencer and I don't put that stuff on there. The exhaust sealant on those slip-ons. I don't. No. Parker Richards, you think Jordan Smith knocked himself out briefly before getting back on the track Saturday? I was at the race here in Seattle. It was epic. It's entirely possible. I know he took a good spill. I just feel so bad for Jordan, man. Like that kid he's had it hard. There's a few people that have just had it really hard and have had a lot of injuries. And it's so funny how some people have injuries and others don't. Like Jordan Smith is one. Austin Faulkner is another. Dude, a couple weeks ago when Austin Faulkner had that, he was leading that race and had that like just kind of his back wheel clipped that. He didn't quite make that little rhythm section and it just launched him. I think it was in Dallas, maybe. Launched him onto the concrete on his back. Like there are just some people that cannot catch a break, and I think Jordan Smith and Austin Faulkner, those are two guys that cannot catch a break. Adam Cianciarillo could not catch a break, and it's just hard to see that. Charles Reynolds, hey Kyle, I already bought 2 shirts for the sweepstakes and just thought about and just bought my 3rd shirt today. I really hope more people will join in and keep the sweepstakes going. Charles, that's amazing. I'm not asking anybody to go out there and buy multiple shirts for me in a sweepstakes, but this is a fun thing that we've been able to do. And I think it's definitely, it's got to adjust. Like I can't. So in the past, I've been doing 2 bikes essentially 8 bikes a year, 2 bikes at the end of every quarter. There's no way I can afford. I can't lose money on any of them. And this one looks like I'm gonna lose money on. So I might still try one more of these with the Stark because it's already purchased, and just see what happens with that. But I think I'll have to completely change it around so it's more like a 2-month thing, and maybe not spend nearly as much money on advertising. I don't know. I really don't know. But the affiliate links are still good to use. And if you are buying product through the website, dirtbikechannel.com, that's fantastic. So thank you so much. I appreciate that more than you know. Rhino Game says, hey, why would anyone want Kyle to buy a 250 YZX when he just got a chance to review one for all of us? It would make a ton more sense to get his opinion on another bike than something he just reviewed. So let me just mention something. I went out and I rode the YZ250X for one day, and it was fun to ride. And it was a really fun thing for Yamaha to invite me and my son out there and do that. And it was a great opportunity. And it's like a ride review. It's not like I bought the bike and gave it a full review. Um, I do things differently than what a lot of the other media outlets do. When you're out there, all you're gonna do is say the good stuff about the bike, and it was fun to ride because it is, and all these things, but you're really not gonna rail on it that much. I watched some of the other media outlets, and I think I was the most critical of any of them. I talked about the YZ 450FX, the 125X, and the 250X, and I think I was the most critical of anybody. And I didn't even really say anything critical. I just said, here's some things, some changes I'd like to see him make. But I'm saying to you guys, and I've said it before in many different videos, I'm not going to buy a YZ250X unless they make some changes to it. Because you can essentially just go back and watch my review from the 2017 YZ250X that I had and pull it forward to today, because nothing has changed, essentially. So there's no reason to buy a bike and review it if they've not done anything to it. And that's why I haven't bought one, because they haven't done anything to it. Just go back and watch my review from back then, and I would just be more critical of it now. If it's my bike, I'm really going to harp on some things because I had to spend my own money on it. When it's just Yamaha flying you out to do and that's why most of the reviews that you see in most, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm just going to say this. If you're not buying the bike, you're not really even reviewing it. You're just you're just helping the manufacturer market it. And that's how I saw that trip, is like, this is a good chance. And Yamaha was gracious. There's really cool people there. You know, I met some really cool people in the industry, and I like the guys, and they're working hard and they're doing a good job. But essentially what they were doing is inviting me and other marketing outlets to go out there and help them market their motorcycles. And because I like the company and I want the industry to do well, and I want people to know about things, yeah, I played that role. But is that really a review? That was a ride day, and it was awesome. Super fun. I felt really humbled to get invited and thankful for it. But those aren't really reviews, guys. That was me just riding the bike for one day, and I had my son standing there. I'm like, hey, here's what I like about the bike. And that's what I like about the bike. But I'm not going to sit there and just shred the bike like I might if I owned it. Does that make sense? So it's a fine line to walk. But when you see these people from whatever outlet, and there's some people in the media, like Motocross Action, like Josh Mosman, he is doing an amazing job. Josh Mosman, if you guys watch MXA, Motocross Action, and I've had a chance now to rub shoulders with him in Italy, with the gas thing, and then here at the Yamaha thing out in South Carolina. Josh Mosman is maybe the nicest person I've ever met. The coolest guy, and so talented on a bike. It's insane. And he's so humble. And I'm like, I want to be around that guy. That's a guy that you feel good being around. And he's doing some really amazing stuff. I've seen some of his videos. And some really, really cool stuff. And there's some really cool people in this industry that are doing a good job and trying. Not with and he's able to talk about things, about parts on motorcycles and things that are happening on a motorcycle with suspension and different things that I will never be able to tell because I'm not nearly as gifted of a rider as he is. But the one place, and the only place that I have a place is with you guys, because I'm not those guys and I'm not talented. And most of that stuff is going over my head. I'm just a regular dude who's a dad who got into dirt bikes at 30. And I'm just telling you what it feels like from a common man's perspective. Now, some of the time that means I can't even tell the difference between these bikes. And I'm not going to be able to tell you the different nuances and ways. Like I was watching one of Mosman's videos here just a couple weeks ago, or a week ago or something. He's talking about like offsets and like steering stems and triple clamps and things. And I know that guy knows what he's talking about. And I know he can tell the difference on this thing versus that thing, but I can't. But when we're talking about a full review, I'm just like, look, most of these people in the sport are just riding the bike for a day and then reading off what the manufacturer wrote about the bike for the press review. And I'm buying them and then having them, owning them for however long, and then saying, I hate this about this part of the bike. Like they whiffed on this thing. Like Stark, there's a few things on this Stark that I'm just gonna be railing. I haven't said anything yet because I'm just compiling some of my thoughts. But when I get ready to, I'm gonna just start ripping Stark a new one for the dumb things that they've done with that motorcycle. There's also some things about it that I'm just gonna praise them and be like, you know what? They got this one right. So I'm not going to pull any punches. And that's maybe what makes me a little bit different than some of these others. But there's some really awesome people out there. And that was just me going on this long rant. I'm just like, well, YZ250X, that wasn't really a review. That was a ride day. And that's just doing some marketing for Yamaha, but it's not really a review in my mind. It's just like, hey, they're doing some cool stuff and they have some cool motorcycles, but I'm not sitting here going like, ripping the bike about the things that I wish they would update. I was just being nice, saying the good stuff, but pulling the punches on the harder stuff. Con KH, any interest to add mountain biking to the channel? They translate really well, and I found it easy to load up and go for a mountain bike ride and be back in less time than the dirt bikes. I just don't have interest in mountain biking. I used to do it when I was younger, and I don't have interest in it now. Mark KDX Rider says, late to the party, I'll take the beta. The King of Khaki says, do you think we will see the W go premix like the XC? I don't think we'll see it soon. I think they're smart where there are a lot of people that don't want to mix fuel. I was talking to a gentleman about this earlier today. KTM has it now where the XC is premixed where there's no oil injection, which is great for the racers. And then they also have the XCW, which is a bike that mixes the oil and the fuel. So they've got everything. Like they're doing it right. They're covering all the bases. And so I think they should keep the XCW with an oil pump so it's oil injected. And that way they've got everyone covered, So you want a premix bike, go with the XC. You want a bike that has oil injection, go with the XCW. I think they're smart to have them both. Dagger Finson, Dagur, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's Dagur Finson, says, I'm 15 years old. I have very little experience on dirt bikes. I'm 5'9", 130 pounds, and in need of an enduro bike. Is a 252 stroke too powerful? And if so, how many cc's should I be looking for? I would say at 15, where you don't have experience on dirt bikes, I would say a 252 stroke is too powerful. I would be looking for a 125 two-stroke for sure. The very biggest I would ever want you to start out on would be a 254 stroke, but I would much, much, much rather. My son's 15 and he's riding a 125. He's not maxing the bike out. He won't max the bike out before he moves to something else. And he's been riding since he was 5. Okay. And so he's got a 10-year head start on you, and he's riding a 125. He's not ready for a 252 stroke, and he's been riding for 10 years. Okay. Can he ride a 252 stroke? Sure. He rode a 454 stroke out at this little media event that we were at, but he rode around the track and he didn't love it. It's like, this is too much. This is way too much for me. And he's been riding for 10 years. So he's a little shorter than you, but he's right around the same height. You guys are really close to the same height and weight. So get a 125 two-stroke. That's my suggestion for sure. Randy1 says, I have a 2023 KTM 300 XCW Ayresburg Rodeo. What do you think of it? I think it's great. The Ayresburg Rodeo bikes are expensive and they put on bling parts that I don't necessarily need or want. So the only one I've ever purchased was the 24. But as far as the bike, it's awesome. That would mean it would still be a TPI bike, which is totally fine. And it means it has the older frames, which I prefer. So it's an awesome bike, dude. 23 300 XCW, awesome bike. Christian Juarez says, hey, I just got into dirt bikes. Any tips for throttle control? Yeah, just keep doing it, man. You learn how to it just is something you have to do. Like you're just learning how to brace your wrist over things and to keep your body in the right position. A lot of throttle control and a lot of these other things are just having the right body position on the bike. Stand up on the bike, hips back, knees bent, watch some videos on just like the attack position and body position and keeping your elbows up with your arms braced. And those types of things are going to help for throttle control. And then just putting time on the bike. But stand up as much as you can. Charles Lerman says, hey, are there any scenarios that would prevent your affiliate link from not working when we make an order with your Rocky Mountain, such as filling our cart with your link and then logging in and coming back? So I've been told it's at least a 24-hour cookie in there in that. So basically what happens is when you click the affiliate link, it puts a cookie in your browser. It's a tracking cookie. The only way it won't work is if you've disabled tracking in your internet browser, which some like really internet savvy people will do. Most people don't know how to do it. I don't even know off the top of my head how to do it. I'd have to Google it. I don't do that. But that's how you would make it so it doesn't work. It might even be a little bit more than a 24-hour cookie. It might be a 48-hour cookie, which means that if you clicked on my link and you came back 12 hours later and then you put stuff and you finished the order, it should count toward, it should be attributed to me, and then you'd get the entries. So that's what I've been told. The best way to do it is to click the link and then fill the shopping cart and check out. Like that I know works. I think it works if you click the link and then waited even 17, 20 hours later and then checked out. I'm told it works. But how do I test that? I don't really know. And if you bookmark the link, the problem with bookmarking my link is the browser reloads the page immediately. And if you clicked on my link and then say, oh, I'm going to bookmark this, you'll bookmark the wrong link. I hate that, but you just do. You have to be able to edit the bookmark and have the tag at the very end of the URL. And it's in my email signatures. It's in the YouTube videos. You have to book that full bookmark. You can't just like click on the bookmark, let the page load, or you can't click on the link, let the page load, and then bookmark it. I know it's tricky. That's why I tell people just click on my links every time. Anyway, that's the deal. Hey, Kyle, will you consider getting a Reju MT bike and reviewing it? I probably won't. I'm just not that interested in it. It's the old gas technology. And I don't know if they made some major changes to it or something, I probably would. I was just about ready to review a gas and then KTM bottom, and Reju, I think it's just that old gas technology that they haven't changed. And I'm not that interested in it. What do you think of the new Kawasaki 300 two-stroke? This is by Eric Compian. Now, Eric, you must be kidding me. Is this April 1st? Kawasaki. I don't think they have this. You're literally saying that they have a 300 two-stroke. I don't think you're right. I think, but because I want them so bad to do something, yeah, they don't have it, bud. They don't have a two-stroke, unfortunately. But you got me to look. I mean, I just didn't want to look like I was totally, but no, there isn't. I mean, they have the KX85, which is a two-stroke, but they don't have, and they have the KX112, which is a two-stroke, I believe. But they don't have a 250 two-stroke or 125 two-stroke anymore, unfortunately. That sucks, doesn't it? Okay. Just wanted, Derek, you got me to look, though. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Sketchy XC, I think, is answering Christian's question about like throttle control. And he says, Christian, elbows up, chest over the bars, ball of the feet on the pegs. Yeah, these are like I was talking about body position. Yes. McMyers 223. Where were you at? McMyers 223 says, what's up, Brotherson? Does KTM always have a 6 days version of models, or is that only so often? They used to do it on some of the bikes, on like the off-road bikes, the XCWs and stuff, but now they have the hard enduro version. They've done Erzberg versions, and now they're doing like this hard enduro thing. It's just their special edition, and I haven't seen the 6 days for a little while, but they'll have like a special edition. It's like and now it's called the Erzberg hard enduro or whatever. So I don't know. Oh, yeah, Dagger Finson. If there's anyone here, which I believe there is, could you answer my question above? I'd like a few people's opinion. I think he's probably talking about the throttle. Oh, he was talking about the being 15 and having a 120 or having a 252 stroke if it's too powerful. So yeah, you guys can tell him that. It's fine. Like I don't care what anyone thinks. I have boys, and I know that I would not put my boys on that. Now I lost my place. Where are we looking? Late to the party. Elbows up. Okay. Yeah. Somebody else said, Mark KDX Rider, a 300 Kawasaki two-stroke. Is it April Fool's already? It was. I just wanted to see, because I wanted to see. Like it wasn't April Fool's, and so I just said, yeah. Let's see. Sean H says, yes, I do love the TE300. I was coming from a 2003 DRZ 400. That's a big bike, so I'm sure you can imagine the difference. Yes. Thanks for all you do. Absolutely love your reviews. The best on YouTube. Thank you. There's some people that are kind of answering questions that are already done. Kaplan, America allows you to buy raffle tickets. I'm just curious how. I don't know. Kaplan America allows you to buy raffle tickets. I'm curious how they're getting around it. It's possible they're just not doing it legally. Like, I use a sweepstakes company, and I've asked them multiple times. And if you want to be legal in all 50 states, you could do it in some states, but you can't do it in all 50 states. And I want to have it open to all 50 states. And I pay a company a lot of money to make sure that we're legal, because I don't want to get sued. Mark KDX Rider, yeah. Had me going there for a second, but they're all sold out. King of Khakis, maybe if the bike giveaways are out of the picture in the future, you could do a ride with me or a weekend for the winner. I used to do ride days with the winners, but it didn't add anything to the bottom line. Oh my gosh. I didn't want to pin that message. And it was hard to get people to come out. And a lot of times they were just taking the cash value because they couldn't come out. Let's see. Kyle, have you tried the ODI lock-on grips on your steeds? This is from Dunny 990. Dude, I use the ODI lock-on grips on basically every bike. I've even got it installed on the Beta. I don't have it yet on the Stark, because I need to figure out how to do that with the throttle grip, or the throttle, not throttle grip, the throttle, because it's like a weird thing. But I try to put ODI lock-on grips on every bike because I love those. I hate the glue-on grips at this point. What do you think of TM Racing? This is by Peter Oli Botnen. You mean like their parts, like their hard parts, or the bike? I had the bike last year. I had a TM EN300 ES FI2T, and it's a cool bike, but it felt a lot like a Sherco. Felt like a mix between a Sherco and a Yamaha or something. It was okay, but there were some people like, oh my gosh, this is the best bike ever. It wasn't the best bike. It was okay. It was just okay. But they also have some good parts too. Like, they make parts, and they also make the bike. Charles Reynolds, hey Kyle, I'm looking to get into dirt bike, and I was wanting to know what you would recommend for riding in the Ozark Mountains. You didn't say how old you are, how tall you are, how much you weigh, what your experience level is, so it's really hard to know what to tell you. I will tell you this, though. If you want to do slow technical riding, the two strokes make a lot of sense, like a 300 two-stroke, but I don't know if you're too young for that. I don't know. So send me an email. It's kyle@dirtbikechannel.com. The more information you can give, the better. And then I'll have some suggestions for you. Mark KDX Rider says, gives my old XR400 a run for the money on weight. Oh, so you must be talking about the Stark Varg at 160 or 265 pounds. Let's see. Charles Lurman says, will the Rocky Mountain affiliate link and all scenarios guaranteed to get you a cut in the sweepstakes awarded? That's a really weird worded question, but the answer is there are 4 ways to get entries into the sweepstakes. Number 1, make a purchase on my website, dirtbikechannel.com. Number 2, use my affiliate link to Rocky Mountain ATV, which is found at dirtbikechannel.com and in the YouTube and in the video description of every single video. And it's in my email signature. That's guaranteed to get entries. The third way is to sign up for my my SMS link, which is for text messages. That you can find that on my website. And the fourth way to get entered is to send in a postcard. Those 4 entry methods are automatic entry. And if you do any of those 4 things, you get automatic entries into the sweepstakes. That's how you get entered. Those are the only ways you get entered, those 4 ways. But yeah, let's see. Other questions. We've been going for about an hour here. I feel good. I've felt really good today. So I'm still going. Sketchy XE says Beta 200 or the X Trainer. I take the Beta 200 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Myers says that landing was rough. I don't know if you were talking about a plane. EnduroX says Beta 200 if you're taller, and if you're shorter, get the X Trainer. No, not if you're shorter. If you're shorter, don't get the X Trainer. Still get the Beta 200 and shorten that. Logan Vandegraff would love to see you do a mini bike review. I don't want to do a mini bike review. Jake Lilly says I'm getting a Climb Arsenal 15 backpack, and I'm trying to put together a tool bag. Any must-haves for your trail bag? Yeah, you gotta have things like a 10 millimeter socket, an 8 millimeter socket. You can buy these Y sockets, these Y wrenches at Rocky Mountain ATV that have like 8, 10, and 12. So make sure you have a tire spoon in there. Make sure you have a Phillips screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver. Make sure I even carry like some JB Weld in there just in case. I carry tire plugs because I like tubeless. I have a couple videos where I talk about what's in my bag, like what's in my riding pack, and I'll go through the tools and that'll give you some ideas. Let's see. Just looking for a couple more questions here to take rapid fire. GPS mapping on a dirt bike. Have you played with the Garmin Zuma or TrailTech? Yeah, I have it. Yeah, I just don't like a ton of stuff on my handlebars. I'd rather just pull out my phone and look at my GPS maps on there. I tried that big TrailTech Voyager. I'm just like, this is just drawing so much power and adding so much weight up high, and it's just not for me. Have you ridden the Beta? Yes, I have, but not a lot. Martin Fink says, I've looked at that, but I don't find any good spare parts. I don't know what the question was. Kenny Ferguson, hey, Kyle. So with all the great bikes out there, in your opinion, speaking for yourself, what bike comes to mind for the fun factor and grins on single track riding? Right now, the best bike for single track riding is the KTM 300 XCW. I don't love the frames, but the motor is amazing. The traction is amazing. The front forks are unbeatable. And so I wish they'd put the old 300 frames on the new 300 motors, but those are really great bikes. But also Beta makes a really freaking awesome bike for single track right now. The Beta 300 RR, 250 RR, amazing for single track. Yes. Let's see. Why not give away less bikes? Sketchy XC, give away less bikes and run the sweepstakes longer per bike. The problem with that is you make most of the money at the beginning and the ending of the sweepstakes. So you make literally 90%, like the revenue that you'll get from the sweepstakes, 90% of that happens on the first and second days, and the second to last and the last days. So the stuff in the middle is basically all negligible, and it doesn't pay for anything. So if you do a sweepstakes for a long, long time, you just get a lot of days where you don't make any money. Does that make sense? So I was talking with the Diesel Brothers guys, and they're like, the only way to make money on these sweepstakes is, they're like, have you noticed that like all the money comes, and yes, they have to make money, otherwise they're not sustainable. So now that this one probably isn't going to make money, now it isn't sustainable anymore, at least in its current form. So you have to have more beginning days and more ending days if you want to make the money. If you have less beginnings and less endings, it exacerbates the problem, kind of. So that's the problem there. Yeah, Ariel, or somebody says, I can't pronounce your username, says they would sell so many of the YZ250X if they put electric start on it. He says, I would definitely buy one, and I think you're right. Daniel Croney says, do you tap the bar ends when you buy a full wrap handguards, or do you use the factory hardware? You have to tap the bar. You have to, well, depends on, do you tap the bar ends? It depends on, you usually don't have to tap as in put threads in for the bar ends. For the full wrap handguards, they have something in there that you can put in, but you do have to cut holes in your grips for sure. I think I'm going to cut it loose there. Taylor Lake, you and Rich Larson should collaborate on video. We have in the past. We've done videos together, and we've done podcasts together too. Rich is awesome. He's an amazing rider. Kyle, do you still have that boot carrier thing that you reviewed years ago? I think it was off Etsy. A boot carrier? I don't know what you're talking about. Boot carrier. Huh. Enduro X, if you're raffling 2 bikes, why not break it up, turn them into 2 shorter raffles, one for each bike? Here's one thing. I've never loved doing the raffle, like the giveaways. I've never loved it because I never like having to market it. And it does change the content. Like I try not to have the content be be giveaway heavy, but it does change it somewhat because I'm in the middle of a product or I'm in the middle of talking about a product or whatever. And I'm like, hey, by the way, you want to win my bike? Here it is. But the flip side of that is this, you got to try to fund this stuff some way. I haven't done sponsorships, but essentially I'm doing my own sponsorship and just saying, hey, buy this thing from me. I'm sponsoring these videos and you could win a dirt bike. So I'm either selling you on buying a t-shirt or selling you on using my affiliate links and trying to incentivize you by you might win a dirt bike, or I'm reading off an ad on some company that you've never heard of. Either way, advertising has to pay for this. I'm just doing my own advertising with the sweepstakes, but I don't love having to talk about the sweepstakes on most videos. Even though the video will be, I've done like tubeless installs and I've done a bunch of different videos this year, but every video has to talk something about the sweepstakes. And I don't love that. So I don't know. We may just be at the end of an era. It might just be time to pivot and for me to do something different. And that may be what happens here. So yeah. Zach Davis says, thank you for what you do and blessings to you and your family. You've been on my mind. I've been praying for your fulfillment and journey through life. Thanks, Zach. I really appreciate that. That's super nice of you. That is very kind. Beta. So Jacob Lambert says Beta 300 RR is the best bike I've ridden so far. That's awesome. How is the motor on the new Beta? Is that the new dual plug model? No, I don't have a dual plug model, and it's great. It's just like all the other Beta 2-strokes that I've had. They're really good. Let's see. EnduroX, which is more profitable for you? Is it the online store better or the affiliate link? So that's a really tricky question. I have better margins on the stuff on my own website. But the stuff that if you use the links for Rocky Mountain ATV, there's no overhead for me. And so I make far less on product. Like if you click the link for Rocky Mountain ATV, I'm going to make between 4.5 cents and sometimes up to 7 cents on the dollar. But let's just average this out and say it's about 6 cents on the dollar. So if you spend $100 at Rocky Mountain ATV, I'm going to make, let's just call it $6. If you spent $100 on my website on whatever product it was, I'm going to make a lot more than $6. Depends on the product or whatever. But then I have to have the warehouse fees, and then you pay for, and then there's the shipping. And I can't charge enough on shipping for you guys to not abandon the card. So if I charge you what it takes to ship the stuff to you, you look at it and you say, screw that, Kyle, and you abandon cart. So what that means is then some of the profit goes out to subsidize the shipping, and it just takes so much money that it's like, dang, I don't know. Like if I do another sweepstakes, I may just try doing it through the affiliate link model, but that'd be really hard to make money. It'd be really hard. Very hard to make much money doing it that way, but I may try it. Because if I could cut the cost way down, and then I just had the bike to pay for, and yeah, if it was just the bike to pay for, you know, how much could that make enough money to pay for the next one? I don't know. I don't know, but I may try it. So we'll see. Okay. I've gone for 109 minutes. That's an hour. That's 70 minutes almost. 69. Oh, 69 minutes. There you go. So 69 minutes means it's time to stop. Hey, if you want to help what we're doing, we've talked about it a lot, but go to dirtbikechannel.com, get entered to win those 2 bikes that I'm giving away, KTM 250XE and a Beta 250RR. You can enter by going to my website and buying a shirt, hat, whatever else I have up there. It's dirtbikechannel.com, or use the links to Rocky Mountain ATV, and that also enters you to win these things. You have until the 31st at midnight. Yeah, until next time, leave a single track. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.